Now batting for the Reds, number 44, the shortstop, Ellie Thrill.
Here are your hosts, Ricky Logan and Roger Straz.
Welcome to the Red Hot Reds podcast. That's Ricky. I'm Roger. It's Saturday at 8 p.m. This is your Super Bowl. Sorry. We're still going to cover
wrong
baseball.
Show.
Yeah, we are moving it up a bit because there is a big game tomorrow, Ricky. So I guess we should kind of acknowledge that a little bit, that we're doing something a little bit different here. Saturday night live, as some might say. But we are here to talk about the Reds. We're really appreciative of everyone tuning in and everyone following and subscribing. Please like, comment, subscribe, and also hit that notification button on YouTube so you know when we go live on like a Saturday as opposed to our usual Sunday nights. And then we'll also have more programming because, Ricky, the season is about to start, man. Monday, pitchers and catchers report. And basically that's the end of football on Super Bowl, right? And the beginning of baseball in a lot of people's minds. But before we get into all that, how have you been?
A little bit better. It was a little bit warmer today. It was just a touch under freezing, so we're getting closer. Other than that, didn't do a whole lot. Did a little shopping. But what about you?
Yeah, it's nice to see the snow melt a little bit. We've been kind of busy again. We've been busy as well, interviewing people and putting stuff out. So be on the lookout tomorrow. We'll have an interview with Jonathan Harmon, pitcher of the Dayton Dragons. Real good guy that we did. We'll put some clips out there, preview it and all that. So subscribe for that. So you want to see that coming tomorrow, Sunday, I believe around 8 p.m. is when we're going to try to put it out there, our usual time. But I think there's, again, something going on at 8 p.m. tomorrow. I'm not too sure, Ricky. It's, I guess, a big deal.
Kind of a big deal.
I guess. The commercials or the halftime or I don't know. But I guess there's also a game too.
Yeah. But also, I wanted to give a shout out to a former guest of ours, Reed Mouse, had a baby today.
Oh,
congratulations,
today?
Reed. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. February, baby. Nice. Ichiro Kano's birthday, by the way.
So, nice. He's going to share a birthday with the Reds prospect.
Like you like to say, a Reds prospect with two of the most iconic first name, last name.
Well, 4 if you count his middle name, Santiago Espinal.
Oh, okay. All right. We're going with that one. Shout out to Gingersaurus Rex for putting that joke out there, I think, a couple months back. And speaking of that, Ricky, not to go so off topic, I did put a question in for our guy Charlie G on, like, can he investigate if Santiago Espinal is on the Louisville Bats roster? No word yet. But in his mailbag, he did put out there that we're looking for an Espinal-type player.
Just go get Espinal.
We don't have to go get him if he's already in the organization.
I'll say this about Espinal just real quick. I think he got a bad rap last year because his 2024 season was incredible for his standards. And, if we could get him as a depth piece, like we said this time last year, if Espinal gets 300 at-bats, there's a problem. And he got 301 at-bats. And, so I don't know. I just feel like if you can get him in there like 150, 200 at-bats, defensive replacement, he can play third, second, which, to be fair, we kind of have backup second baseman in Sal Stewart and Spencer Steer, backup third baseman in Spencer Steer, Sal Stewart, and Suarez behind Ke'Bryan Hayes. So, it's if you can get him cheap, which he probably will be cheap, but he had a really good year in 24. I think he just kind of didn't perform like he expected to.
Sure. Yeah. Carrick's looking forward to our interview. Where'd it go? There we go. Looking forward to a Jonathan Harmon interview tomorrow. Dropping in about 8 p.m.
He is awesome.
Yeah. He's a good old boy from Louisiana. If you can get that archetype in your mind. But yeah, he seemed to have also interesting comments about his career and stuff like that too. And yeah, Fred says almost baseball season. Darn right. After Super Bowl, no more football. And then, the Espinal thing, if he was on the roster, he'd be invited to spring trading, says Carrick. I guess so. Then I guess Louisville Bats got to update their website. I don't understand it.
It is weird.
I understand if it's just a website thing, fine, whatever. But it's kind of been on there for a couple weeks, months without, I don't know. Anyway, it's kind of weird that we have him on that. But either way, we'll find out. I'm sure we'll have some clarification one way or another sooner than later. But Monday, the pitchers and catchers report. Also, the World Baseball Classic players, I believe, report early to get some early work in before they report off to it. And there's a bunch of guys that are doing the World Baseball Classic. Obviously not Ellie, as we've covered on this channel, on this show, that he got invited, then disinvited, then came to a mutual agreement with the Reds organization and whatnot that he will not participate. But there are some other guys that we will talk about later that have a chance to represent their country. And I mean, some guys might even have some significant playing time too, which would be kind of cool to see. I know a lot of fans in Reds Nation aren't necessarily all that excited to see a guy potentially get hurt. But, obviously the Edwin Diaz situation of it all is not cool, but it happens sometimes. It's baseball. They could get hurt in spring training too. So, I don't know. It's kind of cool to see them on the big stage on Fox, by the way, just to see them represent their country. That's my stance on it. I'd love to have seen Ellie as well play for the Dominican, as stacked as the Dominican is, but
yeah,
neither here nor there.
But speaking of injuries, and I don't know if you remember, just a short time ago, maybe it was like 8 years ago or whatever, but the Reds signed Ryan Madsen to close and tears his UCL, I think, day one of spring training, and never pitches a game for the Reds.
Yeah, that happens. I mean, obviously it's not a contact sport, so there's not like that type of injuries that happen unless, they've kind of legislated that out at home plate with the collisions with the catchers and whatnot, and at second base as well for those bang bang plays. So those type of injuries aren't as frequent, but at the same time, it happens, man. It's a lot of these guys are putting themselves out there, going 110% or what have you, trying to make a team, maybe make a roster spot or whatnot. And sometimes, unlucky things happen, but we'll get into the World Baseball Classic stuff and some other things before that. But there was some news. This is the beginning of February, which is the time that we hear about arbitration hearings going one way or the other. And we heard some big news. So Skubal was big news everywhere, hit everybody's radar, I believe, if you're following baseball, that he won his case. He's going to get paid $32 million a year as opposed to the 18 or 19, I think the Detroit Tigers filed. And rightfully so, he won his case. Also, our guy, Doug, Graham Ashcraft, won his case. His was bigger than Stevenson's disparity, right? He get like $500,000 that was kind of up for grabs. So shout out to Doug doing that. Again, we were talking about this a little bit before the show. I can't believe that Stevenson's stuff hasn't leaked. It's kind of weird that hasn't been finalized. Maybe there's something going on. Maybe they're making some sort of deal, or I don't know. I thought it'd be done by now. But what are your thoughts on the arbitration stuff and the hearings and your guy, Doug?
Yeah, Doug, man, he's making $1 million more than he was making last year. He was making $750,000 salary last year and got bumped up to 1.75. The Reds offered him 1.25. So yeah, like you said, $500,000 and disparity there. I think Stevenson's is like 250,000.
Yeah,
is their difference, which is surprising that they didn't agree, then to just give it to him. But it's Ashcraft to me is a very underrated reliever. I think he had a pretty good season. I think MLB Network has him, or MLB Network has him listed as a top 50 reliever or something. I forget where it was, but he's a good reliever. I think that if he can just learn the command better, he's got closer stuff for sure. Doesn't really have the swing and miss stuff, which is surprising given his pitch speed and the way his pitches move. He's got a slider, cutter, and a sinker, I think. And their high velocity pitches, his cutter and his sinker both hit 99. And it's funny that he has those pitches and they just won't strike people out. But his biggest issue is the walks. If he could get those down, I mean, he could get back. He's got back of the bullpen stuff easily. But thankfully, we don't need to rely on him being that this year with Pagan coming back, Santion coming back, getting Burke, getting Pierce. That is who it was.
Pierce Johnson.
Pierce Johnson, yes. Getting them guys. And then you also have like Connor Phillips, who was incredible last year. Who am I missing? And then the young guys and Luis May and Ashcraft. Not Ashcraft, Big Sugar.
Yep.
Maxwell.
Yep.
They got a really good bullpen. I wrote about that on the Suarez signing. You know, they added to the bullpen first, and then they filled out the outfield depth, and then that gave them all the room to make that big splash. So Ashcraft needed to come back. I think there has been some rumors of him being a possible trade candidate. I think Jason Dominguez of the Yankees was one that there was some talks. Some Yankees reporters were wanting it out there. I don't know, man. He's likely to start the season in AAA for the Yankees. There's no way I'm giving up a solid reliever for a minor league outfielder that hasn't lived up to expectations.
Yeah. Fred chimes in. Maybe there's an extension incoming. And this thing's clicking, not working.
Well, Suarez got one in, 2018, 2019?
Yeah. Yeah, that was actually funny you bring that up because in 2018, he went to arbitration and lost. And then they immediately extended him the next time. And actually, I got here, Mario Posta puts out here that his hearing is Monday. So that's why we haven't heard anything from what's going on with Stevenson's and whatnot. Fred also chimes in with the fact that Ashcraft kind of struggles to find the strike zone at times, and that you were talking about the strike, getting walks and whatnot. Hopefully he can refine that skill and get into camp. I think it was last year at this time, right going into spring training camp, that him and Mole were reported coming into camp out of shape. Hopefully with this arbitration win, he'll come in and have a renewed attitude and be ready to rock right off the bat and whatnot for the Reds. But we also shout out to some random people I don't think that usually follow our channel or on here. So hello. Thank you for following the channel. We are a part of All Gloves Off Sports Network. We have a bunch of shows. Our show, Red Hot Reds. We have Sirhan, All Eras with Sirhan. We have the Lights Out podcast. We have Football with Cheese. So if you follow those guys, follow their channel, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit the notification tab to know when we're going to be going live, like tonight. We usually go live on Sundays, and we'll be going live on Sundays throughout the whole regular season, and probably at the start of March as well, Ricky, right? Like right into the spring training, cover some spring training games coming up, real baseball coming up soon. So shout out to all you guys coming into the chat. I know we got our regulars like Fred, Mariposa, and Carrick out there, so shout out to them as well.
Yeah, and then once the season starts, Monday or Sundays and Wednesdays.
Yeah, hopefully we get some nice big interviews. Kind of like, again, we'll shout out our interview. Jonathan Harmon is going to be tomorrow. We're going to drop his interview. We want to thank also Ryan McChrystal and his fiance, Cecilia Newsom. They dropped by and really opened up about their faith. So check that interview out as well. We dropped that, I believe, on Wednesday. So that was really special to them because, you know, they could be, you know, just focusing on baseball, focusing on their lives, but they decided to sit down, and I want to say it's our longest interview to date as well.
It was a long one.
So it was good to hear them and hear their thoughts on their journey together, and hopefully, you know, we hope the best for both of them because we're real big fans of McChrystal and we're real big fans of their you know, hopefully, I guess, I don't know if they're going to get married soon. Hopefully, I don't know if he's got that in the plans. We didn't want to go there maybe with the interview, but you know, shout out to them for coming on with us. Yeah,
and any other interview we had in the past, we've had Tom Brenneman on, James Rapine from Cincinnati Bengals Talk, Greg Kuffner, Reds Daily 4 on Twitter, if you know who he is. Man, I'm drawing a blank on all these guys we had so many.
You had a bunch. We had our guy Jeff Carr, Locked On Reds.
Yes, Jeff Carr.
He's a big deal in the Reds community if you follow the Reds at all. So and you got our guy Mike Ballantyne as well. He came on a bunch of times and has even hosted. So shout out to him. They had their Super Bowl special a couple days ago, I want to say.
It was the same day we did the interview. Yeah, it would have been Wednesday night.
So yeah, so shout out to them. Check out their stuff. Check out Football with Cheese. I heard he got his the Everything app account back, so he's no longer selling crypto, as far as I heard, and he's able to go out there and tweet with his account. So shout out to them and all that. So any other thoughts with the arbitration? I guess we'll have to wait till next episode to talk about Stevenson's.
No, it's funny that they're going to make him do that while he's supposed to be reported for camp.
Well, this is why, you have representatives go in there in the room. I don't think he would want to be there.
Well, no, but it's like gotta be weighing on him a little bit,
Yeah. I mean, like a lot of things, I think baseball players have to like compartmentalize their stuff so that way they can stay focused on the task at hand. You know what I mean?
I'm sure it'll be fine.
If you start, thinking about all your past at bats, it might weigh you down as well. So like,
at least his isn't like Scooball where it's like $50 million disparity.
Oh man, to be a fly on the wall, to hear that phone call that Scooball get, like,
oh my gosh,
guess what?
You won, buddy.
You won, buddy. You're getting $1 million a start, is what I saw out there. People putting out there. So like, go out there and earn your money, which is
like $50,000 a pitch.
Yeah, and then people were making jokes that that the Detroit Tigers spent all their Scooball money on Framber Valdez.
Oh yeah, they're probably mad.
We're like, dang it. We were really banking on winning this hearing so we could pay Framber Valdez, who's getting like 30-something AAV as well, right?
Gosh.
Like, it's kind of crazy. So, shout out.
I mean, that'd be a terrible look if he lost that case and then they go get Valdez for that amount of money.
Yeah, I guess it is better this way than
Imagine that Scooball loses and he gets 19 million, and then they go and get a pitcher for 34 or whatever it was, 37.
Yeah, well,
he's still getting more than Scooball though.
Yeah, well, is it that? Yeah, it's like 115
so.
for 3. I forget what it breaks down to. That's less than.
Okay, but still, I mean.
No, wait, I'm thinking of 120. No, it actually is more. It's like 34, I think, a year.
Gosh.
Anyway,
reigning Cy Young winner back to back.
Well, this is why I think people were trying to put out there. This is why you put your aces under contract early and get them extended, like
Hunter Green.
The person that's really mad is Hunter Green, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but what's crazy is all these people that are wanting Hunter Green traded because he costs too much. Like, where's the math at? Because that's not computing to me.
I mean, sure, he makes millions of dollars, but like, I mean, we can get into a whole show about this.
I think Lodolo's arbitration next year is going to be more than what Hunter Green's going to make.
Probably. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, especially if it's a good year. If his year is mid to bad, if he's hurt a lot, it could be $8 million a year for him.
Which is why that'd be another topic. Let's move on.
Yeah. Let's say, moving on, the big topic of the day, which I went solo on Sunday about because I just couldn't not talk about it. It was kind of the biggest news of Cincinnati free agent history for a while, is Gino is back. Eugenio Suarez is back. He signed officially this week, put out all that wholesome content of him meeting Jim Day, the wholesome content of him coming and seeing everybody, talking about his daughters, really kind of like feels like pushing him to that point where he would go back to Cincinnati, even though it was reported, I believe, Ricky, that Pittsburgh was going to offer more potentially. So I guess shout out to Gino Suarez's daughters for making sure he made the right decision and coming back to Cincinnati as opposed to playing for those loser Pirates over there. But, I mean, it was such a big story. It kind of engulfed like the whole week that some other stuff kind of happened in the meantime, but it really was like the Reds are being, contenders. They're going to get a big bat, a guy that can hit at Great American Small Park. It was refreshing to say the least, I guess. So like, what were your thoughts when you first heard the news?
Oh man, have you seen those memes where it's like on social media, somebody, like if something big happens and somebody says, I just saw somebody fall down at Kroger. And then the next person says, I fell down at Kroger. Like, it was basically like, if I was somewhere in public, I'd probably be like, oh my God. But I was ecstatic, man.
Yeah.
I have never, this is the most excited I have been for a signing since, sadly, Mike Moustakas and Nick Castellanos.
Yeah.
Like, but more than that. Like, this is what I wanted at the trade deadline. But thankfully, we didn't have to give up anything to get him. because I don't think his production really would have helped us the way he performed last year for Seattle until he got to the playoffs. But I think we needed more this past postseason than one bat, because apparently every single pitcher was tipping their pitches, which never heard of that before. But man, I could go on for hours. I could honestly have a dedicated Geno show and just talk about how happy I am. Just the last time the Reds had somebody hit 30 home runs in a season was in 2021, and he was third on the team with 31 home runs.
Yeah, he is the bat that we all were clamoring for at the beginning of free agency when Schwarber was a potential, I guess, landing spot would be here, but that all kind of fizzled away, not quickly. It seemed like that went on for a long time, at least that back and forth courting with him and being like, oh yeah, shout out to Tommy. Red Sox coming to Great American Ballpark March 26th. So his Red Sox fandom, and I believe he's got a father-in-law that's a Reds fan, so he might be showing up here, checking out the Red Legs in the greatest opening day party that we have in America, I believe. So shout out to them. Hopefully they'll be able to see him or whatnot. At least, it would be hard to get a ticket. I'll say that, Tommy. So if you're looking to come and get inside the ballpark, you gotta get it quick, because it's probably the hottest ticket for the Reds.
Or be prepared to pay a lot online on any of the other websites.
Yeah, it's for the 81 home games. It's probably the hottest ticket, unless there's like a potential clinching type scenario, but that's not always guaranteed. But yeah, it's kind of crazy, the Suarez stuff, because we were so disappointed with the Schwarber stuff, like I was talking about, and that seemed. It seemed possible. Obviously, the money aspect and them making all these weird comments, Meter and Crawl, about how he'd pay for himself and whatever, is irritating to say the least. But at least now we can say that we got a bat. Now, is that going to be enough? Like, is that going to really change the team from an 83-win team to a 90-win team? I hope so, because of the other guys improving, the guys that we added in the bullpen, the guys that are hopefully going to bounce back. Guys like Rhys Hines, who Nick Kroll says could have a monster year, right? So, like, that sounds great. Those kind of things, even though that we know the reality of how they kind of feel about Rhys Hines, if they are really believing in him and they'll give him a shot and he can get out and get after it this year and get more than 45 at bats, heck yeah, sign me up for that. You know what I mean? We'll see. Obviously, he's got to do his job and hit the ball and not strike out as much. But I don't know. It's more encouraging now, I would say, than it was a month ago when we were going into the season thinking the roster was all set. They were just going to run it back with the same guys and a healthy Ellie quad and McLean, basically hopefully coming back to 2023 numbers again. But it's more encouraging now sitting here as a Reds fan than it was, like I said, a couple of weeks ago. And I believe, to set you up, you wrote a piece on this for Reds on SI on how the deal happened. And Ricky, I don't know if you're ready to go into that and figure out all that, but it was kind of an interesting way that the deal came about. And I think Fred even talked about, he learned about how Suarez was potentially signing with the Pirates and and how they offered a little bit more money, but like, man, that's just another kick to the Pirates, because didn't they were in line to like sign another guy, right? Like the Pirates have been kind of striking out even more than the Reds did this offseason. But I can't remember the other guy that they were looking after, but
yeah.
Anyway, like, how did the deal happen with Suarez? What was the finer details that you found out?
Yeah, so funny thing about the Pirates, from what I understand, there was reports said that the Pirates told Suarez, whatever Cincinnati offers you, we'll offer you more, is what I heard. Years, money, all of it didn't matter. I think they were in line to add multiple years, more average annual value. And Suarez is like, no, I'm going back to Cincinnati. Which in turn is just, he liked the fit. He likes the city. His daughter was born here. His wife loves the city, which is awesome because if there's one thing you hear about a lot of players, regardless of the sport, NFL, MLB, they usually love the feel of the city. It's probably like it's like one of the smaller town feeling cities that there is, because it's just, there is stuff to do and it's just not as big as LA or whatever. But as far as Suarez, I think a lot of teams may have been a little bit too analytical with Suarez. You know, he's 34, he turns 35 this year. He's kind of around league average defensively at third base, and he does strike out a little bit. But when you look at his metrics, you know, he's in the 89th percentile in barrel percentage. He's in the 78th percentile in hard hit rate, which is, you know, we need that here. But, you know, he's got, I think, what has he got? 101 home runs in the last 2 years. Like, he had 45 and then 49 last year. Yeah, it's like, as much as we dog on ownership, like, I think we really need to commend them on this, because they opened up the checkbook to make this happen. Like Krall said, he went to Bob and Phil and he's like, look, we can get Suarez. It's going to cost a little more than we expected. You know, can we bump the budget up a little bit? He's like, no question. There was no hesitation. They just said, yeah, and it happened. So really got to commend Bob and Phil, as much as we, as much as we don't want to, and how this show was almost called Sell the Team Bob. Yeah. The exact quote, he said, this is more. We went to ownership last week and I talked to Bob and Phil. He said, this is probably going to be, this is probably where we're going to need to go. That would go above and beyond our budget. And they approved it. And, you know, we're excited to be able to go and get it done. And he said that Suarez wasn't the only player that they really kept tabs on, but I think he was the one that they were most excited for. I think the joke is they lost the check that they had prepared for Schwarber, and Bob opened up his desk and he found it.
Okay. Well, that must have been a pretty big check, because that would definitely afford Suarez based on the money that we found out.
I think the real reason, though, is, you know, there was a report that came out a week and a half ago, that the Reds were heavily interested in Austin Hayes and Suarez. They were kind of waiting to see what the TV situation was going to be. And the day they signed Suarez, the next day they announced the Reds TV package. So they must have had something ready there too.
Yeah, for sure. I thought I lost you for a second, but anyway, yeah. The analytics thing that you kind of hit on and whatnot for this signing is interesting, because I don't know. I understand the way that the hitting philosophy that Tito and Velika and whomever we want to put in that category wants for these Reds is a certain way, but the analytics of today in terms of like hitting the ball is like, it doesn't value the guys like Luis Ariz who hit for average and who walk a lot, or at least don't strike out a lot.
Yeah. Because
how many teams has Luis Ariz won a batting title for? And he seems to be a free agent every single year. He's not getting these huge extensions. He's not getting like signed to big money. Like, he signed for $12 million, just a little bit less than Suarez, and a 1-year deal, I want to say. So like, I understand like the modern day Tony Gwynn, which is kind of what Ariz is, more or less. Not necessarily. I'm not saying he's a Hall of Famer. I'm just saying in terms of hitting for average, not hitting for power, not striking out a lot.
Yeah.
Is not valued. So having like what Fred said in terms of like getting, 30 to 35 home runs and 100 RBIs, you got to put the ball in play, and extra base hits is where it's at. I want to like say that a while back, Reds Daily, Greg Kuffner put out there like a somewhat of a meme is like, walks and hits do not win ball games. Like, because you got to go out there and hit extra base hits. If you remember, the most effective Ellie was the one that hit like doubles and triples all the time, and basically was out there making production on the base paths, right?
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing I feel in today's game. Obviously, we kind of have to go into it knowing that there is a possibility that Suarez and Ellie are going to strike out a ton, and that may get frustrating. But we have to also hopefully expect. I don't know how much production out of those two, but we have to expect enough that they will give us good chances to win ball games, right? Especially if Ellie's 100% healthy.
You want a hot take from yours truly here?
Yeah, sure. Let's do
So
it.
we haven't had a player with 100 RBIs in a few seasons. I think it was 2021, actually. I think we're getting 3 this year.
3? What's 3?
Ellie, Suarez, and Steer.
Okay. Steer? That's interesting. He had 92 seasons ago.
90
like
he had 92 a couple years ago, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good call. Yeah, he's got to be healthy. Steer. Like, this other thing is like the healthy
But this is all relying on McLean getting back to at least around a league average hitter. Friedel staying healthy. Marte and staying consistent this year. And just, if those guys are getting on base, they're going to get drove in. I just think this is the year we finally get past that hump of like not loading the bases and nobody scoring.
Yeah, that would definitely ease a lot of Reds fans.
Yeah, and another thing too, I think last year was kind of like a feeling out process for Tito, just kind of learning the guys, because he came into a situation where there's a lot of young guys that you don't really know what you have with them yet. And then, of course, Ellie's injury, Hunter Green got hurt. But I really think this year we're going to see like the full Tito, like year 2 Cleveland, Boston. Hopefully, not saying World Series as much as I'd love to say the Reds are going to win the World Series. I just, I think this year is when we get the Tito, like he knows what he has. There's not the honeymoon phase where he's trying to take up for his players. And I think we're going to see fired up Tito. We're probably going to see him get tossed from a couple games. I just think that this year we're going to see the Tito that most people remember from his prior teams.
For sure. Carrick's got a good question that I was kind of looking at. Would you have rather signed Suarez or Andahar Hayes and a middle infielder, say Kyle Farmer? And I'm torn a bit. I like the Andahar, Hayes a little bit aspect and a middle infielder. If it is Kyle Farmer, not terrible. I'm more kind of banking on the fact that we got to have a known. You put it out there. You hit home runs 45 2 seasons ago and 49, this year, and in pretty big ballparks, right? Like Chase Field out there in Arizona is not a small ballpark. I feel like the known is that we know for sure that Suarez will hit the ball deep. Now, is he going to, basically strike out in the big spots and really kind of get the Reds fans really upset if he doesn't produce right off the bat? Yeah, that's going to be kind of a concern, especially if the same thing goes for Ellie as well. If they're not producing right off the bat, that's kind of a concern in terms of just like, you'd rather have a decent lineup that's going to put the ball in play. And I know, I think, Fred subscribes to the hit the ball where they ain't strategy, which, yeah, you hit it over left field fence at Great America Ballpark. I think for sure that's hitting them where they ain't. But, I don't know. I could see like the left-handed platoon with Andahar and Hayes, especially because they were much cheaper, right? I think, and we'll talk about a little bit later, a bunch of guys like Andahar signed for 5 and Hayes signed for 4 or something like that. I can't remember exactly. So I don't know. It's definitely an interesting question, but I guess maybe a little bit of the nostalgia factor with Suarez. I think a little bit of the ability to know that he knows this ballpark, he knows this fan base, that he's gonna be the guy that goes out there every day and is gonna put it on the line. And he's pretty reliable in terms of health, right? I think he played at least 150 games the last 2 or 3 years, and I can't say the same thing of Andahar and Hayes. So that's kind of the other aspect that I like in Suarez. Is durable. I know he's going to be primarily DH probably for the Reds, so it's not like he's going to have to go out there and play third base every single day. But, it's definitely – and Carrick says $6 and $4 million for Hayes and Andahar. Man, my clicker is slow. Yeah, so it is cheaper than Suarez, but at the same time, I think we have a known in Eugenio and a durability factor that those other 2 guys did not seem to have last year. I mean, even Andahar, when he got traded for the deadline, had the hamstring injury, so it kind of stinks. But because we could have seen even more out of Andahar last year because he was really killing lefties. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the known and Suarez right now.
Yeah, Suarez has only hit less than 30 home runs twice since 2017. He hit 22 with Seattle in 2023, and then he hit, well, discounting 2020 just because nobody did anything really spectacular that year.
Mm-hmm.
But to go back, the last time he didn't have 30 home runs was 2017. He had 26, which would have led the team this year. So, I mean, yeah, to your aspect about durability, I mean, he played 162 games in 2023. He played 158 in 2024, 159 in 2025, 150 in 2022, 145 in 2021, 159 in 2019, 143 in 2018. So, I mean, he's played. The last time he hasn't played 100 games was in 2015 and 2014. So, I think just if we can get power from him, if he doesn't regress power wise, like you said, he's going to play DH. We're not worried about the physicality of playing third base every day or first base every day. I'm just so excited. Like I don't think I could put into words like just the closest feeling to this was when the Reds traded for Griffey back in 2000. It's as close as it gets because there just hasn't been. I mean, unless you count extensions where we extended Votto, like there hasn't been many moves, especially in free agency, that have been like this. So, granted, I think everybody wanted Schwarber. I think that's a fair take, but if you're gonna miss out on Schwarber, this is the best you can get.
Yeah. And Carrot goes into a little bit of his explanation of getting like Andahar and Hayes. It spreads the risk around a little bit, and he remembers Suarez having those struggles his last couple of years. And yeah, there's probably going to be some stretches where Suarez does struggle.
He had a shoulder injury going into spring training that year, if you remember. I think it was 2018, the year after he hit the 49 home runs. Yeah, 2019 he hit 271. So, or no. Yeah, 271 in 2019. Where's the bad? 2021 he hit 198. 22 with Seattle he hit 136. So yeah, 202 in 2020, which I said 2020 is such a weird year. Just if you get on a slump, it just kills you. Only playing 60 games.
Yeah,
but if I remember right, he had a shoulder injury like before spring training, and like didn't he like not say anything about it for a little bit, and he tried to play through it instead of having surgery, and then he ended up having surgery. I think I don't remember what it was, but it was some shoulder thing that he had, and like we've seen players with shoulder injuries, it just takes a while to come back because we saw him once he kind of rehabbed or whatever. In 22, he hit 236, 232 and 23. 256 and 24, and then he did hit 228 last year altogether, but he hit 248 in Arizona. So if we can get around 240, 250 from him and 35 home runs, it's a win.
Yeah. Actually, one of my fears on this deal, and it's like a usual Reds deal in terms of it's kind of a 1-year prove it deal that they like to do with a bunch of guys. But my one of my fears is that he's going to hit 45 and 100 RBIs. And is going to opt out so you can get more money from someone else, whoever that may be, as opposed to accepting the mutual option with the Reds. Because it'd be great because 45 and 100 for 15 a year, that sounds like pretty good value. But it's kind of crazy that they would have this mutual option, and then he just goes off, has a crazy run, and ends up getting into essentially a situation where he's going to be worth like 30 million a year, and like we're going to be like, thank you, Gino. It was great seeing you for 1 year, and we'll have to see you on the other side, maybe when you're even further down the road. Yeah,
and Fred brings this up. Charlie G brought up a good point. Even if Suarez is struggling, pitchers still have to respect his power late in games. Yeah, and they'll have to respect Spencer Steer behind him and Ellie in front of him. So
For sure. It's a
So
protection thing, because that was the thing we talked about before, that Ellie had no protection, and Noel Marte kind of came on late, in the season, but like Steer was only half a season basically in production. So yeah, it's kind of crazy.
yeah, it's just exciting to finally have a power presence. And I think if Ellie's healthy, I think this year might be the year he hits the 30 home run plateau also. Just he was on that pace. What do you have, 19 at the All-Star break, and then he ended up at 23, 22.
This year,
So yeah, it's like if he's healthy, I'm confident Ellie's going to improve. And plus, if people forget, ABS is in play this year. A lot of Ellie's strikeouts are on balls that are out of the zone, and I think that's going to be a major factor because he didn't have. I mean, yeah, his strikeout numbers were higher still in the minor leagues, but they weren't as high as they were as when he got to the big leagues. So ABS is going to be a factor this year also.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see that in April, or March, April at the beginning, how that all gets ironed out in terms of the strategy and whatnot. Because there'll probably be some issues where they might challenge the wrong thing, the wrong pitch at the wrong time and whatnot. They might have to work that out. But yeah, shout out to man, my thing's so slow. Jim Huntley, go Reds for sure. Thank you for tuning in. We're appreciative of you guys. Like, subscribe, comment. Make sure you hit that notification that we go live. We usually don't go live on Saturdays. We usually go live on Sunday nights, but we have a little special show. I guess there's something going on tomorrow, guys. I don't know. It's some sort of
some kind of hockey game or something.
No, that's the Olympics. That's going on right now.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
That's a little bit different. But anyway, yeah, baseball season officially starts on Monday. Pitchers and catchers reported. As far as we know, Rick, our guy McChrystal's already down there. He's already
yes,
probably got 2 or 3 rounds.
He got
of golf
down there on Thursday.
Yeah. So like I think our guy Jonathan Harmon will be there Monday. So his interview will drop tomorrow. So look out for that. He came on with us Wednesday, and we recorded an interview with Jonathan Harmon, pitcher of the Dayton Dragons, just coming off Tommy John surgery, finishing his season strong, and going to Arizona Fall League. So I think he's excited to get back to it, just like Ryan McChrystal is as well. So shout out to
he had that. He has a couple little sound bites in his interview. I can't wait to have clipped up because he's got one about Alfredo Duno during the Arizona Fall League, and then what was it, him just really betting on himself, and that just the way he talks about himself, man, that gets me fired up. I love it.
Yeah, for sure. It's it'll be a good interview. It drops tomorrow, 8 p.m. So look out for that. Really appreciate those guys taking the time with us and whatnot. So, but we'll move on. We got a couple of guys that we talked about a little bit signing with new teams, and some other guys too. Even Barlow found a new team, right? Scott Barlow, new dad Scott Barlow, and Andahar and Brent Suter found a new team, minor league deal with the Angels. So shout out to him. And then also our guy Austin Hayes is now a Chicago White Sox. So sorry to hear that, but we got some interesting signings from those guys that could have been Reds, but ended up going elsewhere. Obviously, we signed Gino, so maybe there wasn't a spot for those guys anymore. But yeah, what were your thoughts when Andahar and Barlow and all those guys, Hayes got signed?
Yeah, I think I was really big on the Andahar move, trying to get him back, just because I think that he was the best acquisition that they had this past season, other than Ke'Bryan Hayes' defense. I would have liked to have seen a full season of him here, but I mean, they're really not a spot for him other than to be DH. And I just don't think that's as valuable as what we could. I don't want to downplay Andahar, but I just don't think that he's Suarez's caliber of a power hitter. So I'm fine with him going. I think San Diego's a good fit for him too. And Hayes, I liked Austin Hayes. The health always concerns me with him over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, he could never get hot, because as soon as he would get hot, he would get injured again. And maybe playing in Chicago for him might be a little bit easier, a little bit more of a spacious outfield for him to run around in. I don't know, but maybe it's a mindset thing, which with injuries sometimes just overexerting when you don't need to. I really liked Scott Barlow. I was kind of hoping he would find a way to come back just for how he was so reliable this past season. I think they just pitched him like crazy though. And then Suter, uh, local kid, local guy. He's from the area. It would have been cool to have him back as our long man. I'll never forget the LA diving catch in Baltimore when he turned into a turtle. Just
Right.
that shadow, that shadow on the mound, man, that gets me every time. And I think I would like to see him, if he has the chance before he retires, to retire as a Red. I think it'd be cool. And then former Red Luke Maley signed also, I think. I forget where he signed, but
I think he went back to Kansas City.
I think he did too. Yeah.
If I'm remembering right, minor league deal as well, probably with that. But I mean, the minor league deal with Suter, he could be back with the Reds sooner than later. If, say, he doesn't make it out of camp, he can sign a minor league deal for the Reds and play for the Bats for a bit and be waiting in the wings for his chance to come up and pitch for the Reds again. I don't know. A lot of guys can move around, as we I think talked about a little bit before the show. Ben Wortvelt, whatever his name is, he got DFA'd by the Dodgers, signed with the Reds, DFA'd by the Reds, signed by the Dodgers. So, sometimes that happens in baseball with some of these guys that get minor league deals. They're not, they're fighting for their chance to play every single day they come out there, every single time they get a chance. So it's kind of also the interesting thing about spring training coming up is seeing who ends up getting invited to spring training. Hopefully we'll get a better understanding of what minor league players have been invited for the minor league portion of spring training camp. They don't necessarily publish that right away. I think I was talking to Carrick about that we didn't find out what minor leaguers were invited to spring training camp until like the end of February, which is like really far into it. Maybe it's just not made public. Maybe it's not something that the public's that much interested, except for us. We'd like to know who's down there. We know obviously our guys that are down there that are already kind of getting their work in. But we'd like to see who else may be a part of that camp. Maybe our guy Trent, maybe we'll reach out to Trevor, see if he gets invited out there because pitchers and catchers are starting up on Monday. But yeah, any other thoughts on some of these guys getting deals elsewhere? I really thought, the Barlow went for like $2 million. I would have really thought that like Barlow could have been really coming back on a $2 million deal. I mean, obviously we declined his option. That would have paid him $6.5 million. So I don't know. I think there's an element of player ego that I think I kind of found with like Joey Votto when Votto got bought out of his $21 million his last year and was paid $7 million on his buyout, that he wouldn't come back for a minor league deal, not back here, because I don't know. I think the ego of some players might be just so much that like, hey, if you didn't want me then, why would you want me now? Type of thing. So maybe it's a little bit far-fetched to think that Barlow would come back on a lesser deal if we didn't value him at $6.5 million and offered him $3 million. I don't know. That would be something to ask these guys. I don't know if they would ever honestly tell you until maybe they're done playing. You don't want to upset anybody that potentially could sign them, but I don't know. I feel like that would have been nice to have Barlow back, just have another arm, because just like the adage, you can't have too much good starting pitching. It seems like the new adage should be can't have too much good relief pitching.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's why I think we did the moves that we made, bringing in Pierce Johnson and Burke. I think that really shores up the bullpen. And I didn't know up until not that long ago that Burke's one of only like 7 or 8 left-handed relievers that's hit 100 miles per hour. Yeah. So not that the velocity is everything. It's just we're going to have some flamethrowers in this bullpen this year.
Carrick brings up a good question. And we also forgot about, isn't Caleb Ferguson still with the club?
Yes. Forgetting him too. That's who I was forgetting about.
So, like, I'm trying to mental math, and we're trying to mental math on the spot, Carrick, to put us in a tough spot. 8th bullpen spot for the Reds. I mean, we got a bunch of guys that we know for sure. Pagan, right? Santillan. Who else we got?
Johnson, Burke. Ferguson.
Burke. Who else we got in there?
Phillips,
yeah. I'm really excited to see a full season of Connor Phillips if he pitches the way that he did at the end of the year. That would be awesome to see. And if he could be that guy that they can go to and go after, like, with all that stuff, that'd be just awesome to see. So there
Yeah.
we go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Ashcraft.
Ashcraft 7. So now we're down to that last spot. Yeah,
We're
Maxwell,
forgetting somebody. I know we're forgetting somebody on that that's like an obvious.
Yeah, we gotta look at the Reds 40 man, but like
Oh man.
the guys that he listed between Maxwell, May, and Mole, I think Mole starts in the AAA camp.
Brandon
especially,
Williamson, Chase Burns, Julian Aguilar. I don't know how they're, because I think Williamson, are they going to put him in AAA to start the
I
year?
think so. I mean, he's coming off Tommy John. He hasn't pitched in a year.
He's got options, so that helps.
Mhm.
The concern with Burns is the pitch count.
Yeah,
So they've kind of had that hybrid reliever role for him.
yeah.
So
And you got Jose Franco on the 40 man.
Jose Franco. I think if I had to pick the 3 that he mentioned, I think probably Maxwell.
Really?
Yeah, because I think he did pretty well down the stretch. May, if he can show improvement with his command and spring training, possibly. I think Mole still has an option left, if I remember right. So I don't think we're in desperation mode for a left-handed reliever right now. We do have the Burke and Ferguson as our lefties, and I think that they might go with one of the younger guys just to see what they have. And if there's one thing that we can trust is Tito and with their bullpen. And didn't Lyon come back on a?
Yeah,
he's not on the 40 though, right? He would have to be added again.
Right. Yeah, he'd be added. He's in AAA, I believe.
I liked what I saw out of him out of the bullpen last year. So I don't know. Out of those 3, I'd probably say Maxwell.
Yeah, I'm not too high on May making it out of camp. I guess this is why we have spring training, right? To see how these guys do. That's probably something to keep an eye on for our relief pitching preview show coming up, is figure out what the bullpen is going to ultimately look like. It seems like it's pretty solid. The first 7 guys that we're talking about, like as Carrick lists out here, Ashcraft, Burke, Ferguson, Pierce Johnson, Connor Phillips, Pagan, Santillan. Those guys, I don't have too many qualms. Obviously, we'll have to see what Burke and Ferguson and Pierce Johnson look like in Reds uniforms. But for the most part, I think we can be safe to say those guys are going to make the opening day roster right now. I mean, things can change, obviously. But
I hope Santillan didn't touch a baseball until like tomorrow. Because he was so overworked last year. What do you have? 80 games? That's 2 games shy of a half season.
He pitched his arm off and earned that. Didn't he get arbitration money this year? He got that arbitration money.
1.75. I think he got almost $2 million.
So shout out to him. Hopefully he can repeat that. If not, this is why we got other guys. We built up the bullpen to help him out, basically, because he's for sure. Big Tony is built different for sure.
Yeah, and the best thing they ever did was move him to the bullpen.
Yeah, and I guess we learned that he was a Boris client because he started out as a starting pitcher. So that's interesting. I didn't know that. And I guess that 2020 injury where he really got hurt for a long time and didn't come back until 2023 late or so, and like had some off and on stuff. But it's good to see him back and pitching regularly. Hopefully he can build on last year's success.
Yeah, he's the oldest 28-year-old I've ever seen.
yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. But yeah, he leads a pretty decent bullpen. He's the guy we talk about. I feel like
he was going to be the closer. I think had Pagan not come back.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that wouldn't be a problem. I feel right. I mean, it's nice to have Pagan back for that. He got a 2-year deal, right, with an opt out or an option. Was it? Or I can't remember. It was so long ago. You remember that December 3rd? That's when we won free agency at the beginning of the free agency period.
When Pagan came back?
Yeah. That was such a quaint time that we brought Pagan back. And we were just like so happy to be Reds
Well, we
fans.
were so nervous about it because when we got the money, we're like, oh no, like he's half our budget.
Yeah.
And then they signed Pierce Johnson, and that was like another $8 million. But there's all of our budget on 2 relievers.
Well, like you said, it's good that he found his wallet, found that paycheck or that check he was gonna cut to Schwarber. I think where'd Fred say that he found his wallet finally.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of crazy that the budget is balanced again. Or I don't know. Maybe Bob is feeling that this might be the year that we go all in and try to find out what this ball club can do. I mean, after December 2nd, 2026, who knows what baseball is going to look like? It's going to be interesting, to say the least. What the CBS stuff's going to look like. Obviously, we'll delve into that
this
more
is
when it
going to be
comes.
one of the most important years in Reds' recent history.
Yeah, for everybody, right? Like in terms of just like restructuring what baseball looks like. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of funny that we've been kind of talking about this date for a long time, and like you said, it kind of launched this podcast writing about the CBA being up after this season. Hopefully, that doesn't mean the end of this podcast.
Yeah, no, we'll find something to talk about.
We'll have to do.
We'll just get a bunch of players on. We'll just talk to them.
Yeah, well, they won't be busy. That's for sure. If they're locked out and whatnot.
Hey, Hunter Green, you want to talk to a fan account podcast?
Yeah, anybody. Maybe we'll get Joe Z on the podcast since he won't have anything to do. Yeah. Speaking of guys that we'd like to get on the podcast, Tito was named top 10 manager, and a couple guys on MLB Network. I forget, John Heyman
and Brian Kenny.
So they listed off their top 10 managers right now in baseball, and it was kind of cool to see that our manager is still, I guess, regarded at the very least top of his game. I think he was listed 5 in one and 7 in the other, if I'm remembering right.
Yep.
The guys ahead of him were well deserving as well, obviously, and whatnot. I remember I think Stephen Vogt was one of them, and I'm forgetting the others. But what were your thoughts on them ranking Tito as a top 10 manager right now?
I think it's deserved. I mean, he took a team that really struggled in 2024, just being consistent at something, and led them to the playoffs with Ellie on a bum leg. It was John Heyman has his top 10 is Dave Roberts, Pat Murphy, Alex Cora, AJ Hinch, Tito, Stephen Vogt, Skip Schumacher, Craig Counsell, Kevin Cash, John Schneider, which I found it interesting that he had Tito ahead of the 2 or 1 of the manager of the years in Stephen Vogt.
Yeah.
So I think there's a little bit of a respect factor there for Tito, but also a performance factor as well. And then Brian Kenny kind of explained that he just all of the teams that he thinks that are just better. He kind of went by team and not really by manager. But he had Dave Roberts just 1 ahead of Tito at 6th, and he had Tito at 7th. John Schneider 8th for him, and he added Mark Kotze of the Athletics. Yeah, I mean, they were 83 and 79. He won second place in the manager of the year voting this past year. I didn't really expect that, but I think just his pedigree alone kind of warrants that. But I know there's a lot of people that aren't the biggest Tito fans in Reds social media and Reds fandom, but I mean, if you get wins, I don't care what he does. And I'm not a David Bell hater by any means. I just wasn't his biggest fan. I just felt like he kind of just would side with the players on anything, whether or not that it meant making, the team better. Like, we never finished above 3rd place in the division. Granted, we finished 3rd this past year in Tito's first year, but I think it's a foundation to build upon. And who's to say, next year, this coming season, Hunter Green takes that step up and becomes a superstar pitcher and becomes a Cy Young legit candidate, throwing 30 to 32 starts. Ellie becomes an MVP candidate. If those two can lead this team and be like, let's just say a 5-WAR player each, and this team could win 90 to 95 games, and then that just makes Tito even better.
Yeah, the performance of the team definitely is going to dictate how people kind of still view Tito. If they take a step back or don't make the playoffs, possibly win 83 games, I guess then maybe it's kind of like maybe his Tito magic isn't necessarily
Yeah, and I think
as much.
I think for them to take a step back this year, it's going to be because of injuries. I don't think it's going to be performance.
Yeah, they were relatively healthy compared to seasons past, where the Reds seemed like they have just a mash unit out there every single time. I mean,
but it just killed them having Ellie on one leg for like 3 months, and then Hunter Green being out for like almost 2 months. Like if we can get those two guys, like, and then if we can get those guys healthy, like Lodolo can stay healthy this year, Abbott can build on last year. Like there's a lot to be excited about. And then I see Carrick had a comment about Dane Myers in there, like adding outfield depth in those guys. Like I feel confident that if something happens to TJ Friedel, I like a platoon of Blade and Myers being able to fill in for that.
Yeah, for sure. It's almost like they're banking on, because that's what I'm talking about. Like, we've been healthier than most. I mean, TJ played 150 games. That's a lot for TJ. He's usually a guy that gets hurt frequently, unfortunately, which is, neither here nor there. Fred does have a comment. Does Dave Roberts really have to manage? Maybe he's got to manage egos, man, because of all those guys he's got to put out there and whatnot. Obviously, honestly, when he has to manage is once they get to the World Series is basically when he has to start managing.
I'll give him that. That was the stand-up performance in the World Series. Just being able to call on future Hall of Famer after future Hall of Famer after future Hall of Famer to come out of the bullpen.
Sure. That's a good point. But I think Tito, for all the shortcomings of his old schoolness or how he approaches the game, he definitely raises the floor of this team. Like you were talking about David Bell, and not necessarily hating on David Bell, but the variance of that team's like peaks and valleys, as we've heard before from our president of baseball ops. I think we're having less of those, and we even had like a situation where in 2025, I don't think we won more than like 5 games in a row. We never lost more than 5 games in a row.
We never got hot, and we didn't get swept until like September.
Right, until the World Series champs, finally did it. But yeah, like it ends up being a weird situation where, like, I think he's, like you said before, he's starting to get really to know what this ball club can and can't do, but also trying to eliminate, giving away outs like David Bell teams would do, giving away outs, striking out easily. Right, there's still some work to do, obviously, in both of those areas. There's still some work to do in terms of unclogging the bases, because that seemed to happen a lot. And that's nothing. Tito can't go up there and hit. He's just got to work with the guys he gets. Hopefully, like you said, with the additions we have, we're not going to get in a situation where it's bases loaded, 0 outs, and we get 1 run or no runs or, whatever it may end up being. So that will be something hopefully to look forward to in those situations, to see if this team is taking steps forward there. And then, defensively, we'd like to see them take a little bit more steps forward, because as much as, adding Ke'Bryan Hayes helps, we'd like to see, Ellie take some steps forward. We want to figure out what the first baseman situation is going to be. We got to figure out what the outfield's going to look like, and kind of going off of that, unless you got any more thoughts on Tito. Carrick puts out there the 5-6 outfielders that we're going to put out there. I don't know exactly. I was kind of thinking about this as well, because Steer is probably going to be an outfielder. As much as he got Gold Glove nominations at first base, and a lot of people are like, what are you talking about? Why would you get rid of your Gold Glove nominated first baseman? We got to find space for Sal. We got to find space for Gino potentially playing, because he played first base last year for the first time in his career, or first time in a long time. Yeah. So there's possibilities there that, Steer's going to be a everyday outfielder, and giving him a regular position to kind of depend on should hopefully give him some consistency and stability and confidence that he knows every single day he's going to be penciled in left field or whatever. But it is interesting, the additions of Dane Myers, J.J. Bleday, Blake Dunn having a hot end of 2025, Tyler Callahan coming back from injury, our usual guys of, Will Benson and Reese Hines in the mix. What are your 6 outfielders or 5, whatever you want to do? What is the thoughts there?
Yeah, so I'm not going to count Steer technically as an outfielder, although he will play out there. Because Nick Kroll said he will, and I tend to believe Nick Kroll says if he's going to play somewhere, he's going to play somewhere. So I'm just not going to count him as one as far as like this exercise. I think the locks are like your 3 are going to be Marte, Friedel, and I guess probably Will Benson, and then Blade is going to be in there, and then Dane Myers. So that's what 5, not counting Steer. And I mean, there's 7 because you'll have, am I drawing a blank on his name? Reese Hines and Blake Dunn. Just because I think, like we talked about a few episodes ago, I think Callahan starts the year in AAA. Just he only played what he played 2 games for the Reds before he got hurt. It was like a second game he got hurt, which sucks for him. Just because he could have really developed into not an everyday player, but just getting consistent at bats, maybe just based on how the team played last year. And Fred on the Reese Hines video I posted, where's the Blake Dunn highlights?
Here's Fred chiming in.
I'll find him, Fred. I'll find him. But
future AAA Hall of Famer, is that a thing?
I do like Blake Dunn. It's just he's older compared to some of the other guys. He's fast. He can play a solid defense. I think he'd be a good defensive replacement kind of player, and have a pinch runner for somebody towards the end of the game if you need to get let's just say Steer moved, and then I don't know. There's options. We've got plenty of outfield depth, which is why I don't think Andujar and Hayes were really in play. Not trying to rhyme there, but I think Suarez was just a perfect move because of those guys and having the depth that we have in the outfield. I'd love to see. I guess my dream rotation of these guys would be Friedel in center, Steer in left, Marte in right, and then to give Friedel and Steer days off, Steer being moved somewhere else, would be Dane Myers and Blade and Hines out there with them too. I love Will Benson. I just feel like there's a move coming there.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that before in previous episodes. There's kind of a logjam, to be honest with you. The signings of Blade and Dane Myers and Blake Dunn coming back and Tyler Callahan. I mean, I had that take that I think of the guys that are on the bubble, like Callahan, Dunn, Benson, Hines, that I think Callahan's going to get the most at bats at the major league level. I think I'll stick to that so far. Hopefully proves me right. We'll see. But like having Steer as like the utility guy kind of has the sneaky sixth outfielder, if that makes sense, or 7th outfielder.
Yeah.
I think for sure on the opening day roster, I think it's going to be like a Marte, Friedel, Blade, Myers, and Dunn, with Steer being that sneaky 6th outfielder. Just kind of my thought. I don't know if they put like Callahan, Hector Rodriguez, Benson, and Reese Hines all at AAA. That seems like a logjam too. So I'm trying to figure out what the numbers are going to look like. It may become more apparent after they go through spring training and what guys look like and if they're ready to go. It seems to be the outfield. It's nice to have this depth. It's nice to have guys competing for places. It's going to be interesting who steps up, right? We have a bunch of guys that have to prove it, like in Benson and Hines, and hopefully they will. I mean, Nick Kroll seems to think he cut down his strikeout rate. I think they said like 12%.
13%, yeah.
So if he does that again or gets, less, like 10%, a monster year for Reese Hines, I'll sign up for that for sure.
Yeah, I think I might have had a take out there that said if Hines could get his strikeouts down significantly, I see a Ronald Acuna type player in him. Just I don't think he's going to have as many stolen bases or as many home runs, but just like a fast, power hitting outfielder. I mean, those home runs he hit in his debut week were majestic. I mean, those were incredible. Like he's got the bat speed. of Acuna. He's got the pop of Acuna. It's just he's not Acuna, and I'm not saying he is Acuna by any means. I just archetype of a player is what I'm saying. Kind of like Ellie with Fernando Tatis Jr. Like there's an archetype there. Ellie's just taller, faster, and stronger, and clean. But yeah, it's like if with the players that could be on the major league roster, the AAA roster is going to be all kinds of crazy too. Because we still got Tolia who can play outfield. He's first base and outfield. Austin Hendrick potentially moving up to AAA. Because I don't think they're going to play him 3 straight years in AA unless they just plan on releasing him outright. But he played well last year, and he performed in the postseason for Chattanooga. I think he hit 500 with 2 home runs or something. So I mean, they have outfield depth in AAA that there's going to be some tough decisions to make on some players. And that's why I think if you're going to move somebody, I think Will Benson gives you the best return. I don't think they're going to be, dumb about it. But I love Will Benson. I want him to play every day. I'd love to see an outfield of Marte, Benson, and Friedel as like your consistent outfielders. And then you can sprinkle in a Blade and sprinkle in a Dane Myers and sprinkle in a Reese Hines. I think one thing that helps Reese Hines is his ability to play the infield. Should it happen? I mean, he came up as a third baseman. He hasn't played third base in a while, but he was taking reps at first.
Yeah.
This past season. So maybe they continue that and he gets some reps at first and he can DH too. I mean, he's got a cannon of, I think he threw out a couple runners last year when he played. I know there was a runner he threw out at home in the Pittsburgh series in Pittsburgh, I believe.
Okay.
And I mean, we haven't seen many guys have outfield assists at home plate for quite some time. And we had a few of them, but Marte had a couple. Hines had the one. And Marte, his speed, like Hines is pretty quick. So I don't know what we do with all of them. And I guess Hines' ability to be kind of versatile with that kind of helps him out. And I just worry, like we said, about Will Benson. Just is he the one that gets moved trade-wise? I mean, he's got what? He's got options. He's got 2 more years of team control. I think 3 more years of team control.
Yeah.
Because I think he came up in 23. He's got Steer's level of control. I think 2028 is his last year of control.
Sounds right.
So he's got 2 more years of control. So that could be a little bit more valuable. He's still just 26. So I don't know. I'd love to see him get out there and play and hit 25 home runs. Because I think I said it last year. If he could play every day, like he could be a 25-25 guy. 25 home runs, 25 stolen bases.
For sure. Yeah, like Carrick said, we got a bunch of 4th and 5th outfielder guys in this stuff. If the major league roster is the most compelling and trying to figure out who's going to make opening day or the 26 man or whatnot, the Louisville roster is just going to be just as compelling, at least for us, trying to figure out what that's going to look like, or even the starters, who's going to be playing every day, whenever they settle the rosters going into March. I think Louisville's opening day is the day after the Reds, so it's like they got to be ready to go right away. It is interesting as well to have a bunch of guys that have to like prove it, right? Like we're talking about what 1-year deals with Blade, Myers, Benson and Hines have to have basically prove it years if they're going to be sticking around, I believe. Otherwise, they may just kind of toil away in the minors or be dealt like you've been talking about. You also got like situations with guys that I don't know, like Hector Rodriguez. Where does he fit in to all this? Like he got added to the 40 man, which kind of leads you to believe that he may be on his way soon. I mean, there was that one ESPN top 10 prospects that he
Kyler
thinks
McDaniel.
He thinks Hector might be the next guy to get called up. And I wouldn't be surprised about it either. If I think, at least the signing of Myers makes sense on this level in terms of like, they know that TJ played a lot of games last year. Tito or somebody at the hot stove interview said that was a lot of games for TJ. So I think they're almost banking on him being going into age 31 season. not playing 152 games. I don't. Hopefully, he's not playing like 60 or 80. Right? Maybe he's getting 100, 120.
145, like 140.
I'd be I'd love that. I don't know if the organization's banking on that. Is what I'm trying to say. I think that's what
I was thinking. Like best case scenario is like 145, 100.
Yeah, maybe give him more rest days, more Sundays off, more getaway games day, things like that. You know what I mean? Obviously, but I think that's what the Dane Myers insurance policy is at center field. So that's why I think he makes it out opening day, just so if something should happen to Friedel, he's already on the roster or whatever. The other thing is like just trying to figure out like AAA, like you said, like Tolia and Carrick says the guy they signed Chavis was Michael Chavis.
Michael Chavis, yeah.
So like there's
first
a lot
base, outfield.
Yeah, there's a lot of options down there, Louisville, and like you said, if Hendrick is in the mix, that's another option potentially as well. Just trying to figure out who's going to be playing every day in Louisville, and most of all, we've been talking about a Santiago replacement, Santiago Espinal. What about Carrick and I's guy Francisco Urbaez? Come on,
I'm for it, man. I'm for it.
I really hope that the injury that he suffered at the Dominican Winter League, it was very nondescript. It just back injury. Espalda. He just hurt his back. It's like, okay, that's gonna be a lot of things, man. You know what I mean? Like it could be a pulled muscle, it could be who knows,
bulging disc.
So, yeah, anything like that. So hopefully that is done and dusted. He played a little bit in the playoffs for Toros, who lost to Hector's team, Escogido, the Lions of Escogido. So like he was playing a little bit toward the end, and so was our guy Jamer Candelario. I don't know if you saw that. Reds Daily Greg Kuffner kind of wrote out a post about like Candelario and his batting averages of late, and I was like, hey, he played in the Winter Dominican League Finals and went 1 for 14. So so give the guy a break, all right? He's in the finals.
He made it.
The funny thing is, one of the games, just to give Candelario, I guess, more shout out, he went 0 for 0 with 5 walks.
Hey.
On base. It sounds like a Cincinnati Red to me. Just get.
Hey, you know what's funny about that situation is that they could have just kept Suarez and just banked on him batting 198 those couple of years and still giving you 25 to 30 home runs instead of giving Candelario that contract.
Yeah, but who do we get in the Suarez trade?
Yeah, I mean, we did get Brandon Williamson and Connor Phillips, but
yeah, and no, Aguiar was a different trade or something. But
Aguiar was drafted.
Okay, I was thinking something else, but yeah.
It's just confusing because there was 2 Seattle trades.
Right,
it was the
Castillo.
Fraley was in that trade.
Yeah,
that's who it was. It was Fraley, Brandon Williamson, Connor Phillips was the player to be named later. And then the Castillo trade was Marte, Arroyo, someone else that didn't pan out that we traded to get Will Benson for. Hijar, I think is what his name was.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Well, it could have been, but then you don't have those guys on your 40-man right now.
Exactly.
So it's kind of
Although Jesse Winker was like the key piece of that trade.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy. And he could have got signed by the Reds. Isn't he a free agent this year?
I think he's still out there. Yeah.
Oh boy,
that'd be something.
Again, for your argument of having a free agent period, so that way we're not sitting here.
We're a day before pitchers and catchers report. Well, 2 days before pitchers and catchers report, and we still got some decent players still out there.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't know.
I mean, Justin Verlander still isn't signed, or Max Scherzer.
Well, both those guys are 40. Those guys are older than me.
Well, I know, but like, just, they haven't made any case to retire yet. So, and I did want to make a kind of discuss this with you too. We talked about the ESPN Kylie McDaniel article about the top 10 Reds prospects, and he has Rodriguez being the next prospect to be promoted. I kind of pushed back on that on my article. I think Edwin Arroyo's the next one to get called up, only because the infield depth versus the outfield depth. And God forbid something happens, but if something does happen to Ellie, you have a legitimate shortstop that can come up and fill that role defensively. And not to put pressure on him. You can have McLean, move over to short, steer at second base consistently, and then you have the outfield depth that could be like in the short term. But I don't know. I feel like if Hector gets called up before July, too many injuries happened, or they made a trade for somebody or getting rid of some depth. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. The post by the ESPN writer, it was kind of flippant in the way they phrased it. It's like, well, I guess Hector would be the next guy up because
logically, just it makes sense.
I guess he's not. Yeah, we're not hurting, like you said, for outfield depth, especially after the comments by Krall saying that he's excited, that Reesign's cut down to strikeout percentage, so he could have a monster year. That speaks to me that Hector is still maybe even a year away. If the organization's thinking that way, you know what I mean? I thought for a while that they know what they have in Benson and Hines, and they're kind of just like, we'll maximize it the best we can, but we don't have long-term plans for either of these guys. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully I'm wrong there. Hopefully, because I would feel the replacement naturally, and he doesn't necessarily play center field all the time, but Hector would be Friedel's replacement. That's kind of my thought process. He played a little bit of center in the Winter League and whatnot, but like, I don't know. It's interesting. The Arroyo conversation, and we'll talk about him a little bit as well with the World Baseball Classic. He's replacing a shortstop that got hurt and can't play the World Baseball Classic for Puerto Rico. So there is a big possibility that even if it's not Ellie, it could be McLean, and he goes in there and he plays second there for the infield depth. I know they talked about Sal Stu potentially playing second base as well, and we know that I think Steer was his original position, or his college position was second base. So there's that possibility as well. But for depth, the utility guy, the Santiago Espinal position, for lack of a better word, could be Edwin Arroyo's to lose, right? He might be on the opening day roster right away and playing just limited time. I don't know, for his development you'd want that, seeing that he missed time with that injury in 2024. So it's kind of interesting to see what they do with Arroyo personally. And obviously we got lots of time. It's just the beginning of February, and we'll have a better idea what the organization is going to look like in terms of who's going to be assigned where. But yeah, I don't mind the Arroyo take for sure, because I think he might be the most ready. He seems to be a mature hitter. He seems to be a guy that plays solid defense. And heck, if that's anything that this organization does, is they value mature hitting and good defense.
Yeah, for sure. I really like I like his game, especially defensively. He just is very well rounded. Like, he doesn't have the power, and he hasn't been really consistent offensively yet. But I like Carrick's comment here. He said, "I'd like to see Hines get a shot, as Ks were down under 25% last year. It had been over 40. It's like, yeah, if he can get 25% K rate in the major leagues for him, I think he's going to be very successful."
Yeah, for sure. And we echo. We've been saying that all last year as well. Give him a shot. Just give him a shot.
What did he get? Like 49 at bats last year?
45, I think.
Yeah, he got less than Blake Dunn.
Yeah, Blake Dunn played like the first 2 months hitting 190. So
yeah,
hopefully they'll both get an opportunity to prove themselves as well, because obviously we know Blake Dunn's better than hitting 190. Yep. Even though that they kept going to him. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see what the coaching staff organizational rope has for these players, and if they're going to let them hit 190 for a month, or if they're going to pull them and get someone else in there that could play hopefully at a better level in theory, or at least give them a chance to play at a higher level. Because like I said, we got some depth. I don't know. I guess there's a question that kind of is popping up in my mind, is like, do they DFA of Dane Myers or a Bleday if they don't seem to be the guys that they think they are? I know they want the left-handed hitting in Bleday.
Do they have options?
I don't think so. I think they both are enough veteran presence. I'll have to look it up in real time.
I think Dane Myers is pretty young as far as like service time, so he may have options.
Okay.
I'm not sure about Bleday.
I
But
thought they were both well past that or maybe in their contracts that they sign it might be.
Myers is an older player. He's 29.
Okay.
But how do you? I don't even know where you find that. Is it on Spell
And it's
Track?
Fangraphs I usually go to. So they got here. I just saw it. I think Carrick is looking at it right now because I think he said yes. I gotta look. But
He's got one option.
Dane Myers or Bleudet?
Dane Myers does.
Yeah, what about Bleudet?
And then
Bleudet, I just had it.
I say JJ just auto corrected into high.
Ah.
He's got one option too. So
I guess there's a possibility they could get assigned to AAA, but I highly unlikely.
I don't see it happening. But I mean, there's a chance. Like Will Benson goes out and just dominates. You know, if Will Benson goes out and hits like 400 this spring, like I don't think you can ignore it.
But there was that comment that I came across in an interview with Tito is that Tito does not like a guy that hits 400 in Arizona doesn't necessarily mean
anything. Yeah,
it doesn't mean he's going to hit 400 when they go back up north, or that's going to be a consistent thing. I think he's got that old school mindset where I think it's the approach, it's the maturity. Heck, it might be even just running out to first base, right? That could be the thing, like the little fundamentals. But yeah, it could be like I don't know. I guess that's why we play the game is to see who's ready to play at the beginning of the year, because I know for sure if Reds fans have to suffer like 1-0 losses back to back, or have two outfielders like Dunn and Hurtubise hitting less than 190 out the gate, I would think they would go to their depth a little quicker. But you know, I could be wrong. This is a hard game. Obviously, I think even McChrystal and all the other guys that we interview say like the hardest thing to do in sports is to hit a 100-mile-per-hour fastball. You know what I mean? It's not easy. Obviously, we make it sound easy because we're talking about it, you know, from our comfortable seats here,
playing MLB The Show.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll see. There is a lot of depth, more depth, I think, in the outfield than we've had in a while. I mean, I think we talked about the outfield being like one of the weaker units for this ball club. It's not its strongest unit. It's not like they flipped it around completely, but the infield is, it's pretty decent, but it's got some holes, especially if we're not sure exactly what they're going to do at first base and who's going to play there consistently. But it definitely, they're shoring up they're bringing up their floor again, right? Like the thing I was talking about with Tito is like, we're trying to bring up that floor because we don't want to be a team that gives away games or gives away outs or gives away series unnecessarily that could prove to be, deciding series or win that could get you in the playoffs. So,
yeah, and Will Benson still has one option left.
Yeah. I think I think he starts in Louisville. That's just me. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know what we have. And Carrick's putting in there. Benson, Bleudet, Myers, Hines, Dunn. Yeah, have options. Not on big contracts. Spring training will decide who plays in Cincinnati, who plays in Louisville. Yeah. They got a bit of a logjam. I think we could also say that Hector's probably starting in Louisville, being the youngest out of all those guys and least proven. Even though he played pretty decently this Winter Dominican League, he was starting a lot in the outfield for the champions of the Dominican Winter League, back-to-back champions, Escogido. So shout out to them.
Yeah, I mean, in December, we were talking about him making a team out of spring training. Yeah. That just shows you how many moves they made, just signing depth.
Yeah, for sure. And depth isn't a bad thing, right? Like, because we want to make sure we got enough to go around, so long as those guys are producing. That's kind of the thing. But we were talking about Edwin Arroyo, a guy who Ricky's really big on being promoted this year. Maybe before, maybe after All-Star break, we'll see what the season kind of looks like. But he was named to the World Baseball Classic Puerto Rican team, along with our guy Eugenio Suarez with his Venezuela team, and a bunch of other guys. I had to put out here. David Lordoy, a relief pitcher, Colombian. He's going to be playing for the Colombian national team. Ivan Johnson, I guess, is British. He's going to play for Great Britain. No Ian Jabot, by the way, Ricky. I know you were worried about Ian Jabot possibly making the Great Britain team. He didn't get on the team this year. Alexander Vargas, a Dayton Dragon guy playing for Cuba, which the Reds will play on March 4th in a little exhibition game. And then a guy I'm not too familiar with, I think Carrick probably is because he's an ACL guy. Ritsari Merete is the Netherlands ACL rookie league guy, left-handed pitcher. So shout out to all those guys. I was looking back. The Reds had 5 guys play in the World Baseball Classic in 2023. I think the top guys that were kind of like a part of it, I mean, Ian Jabot was one. Oh, I just had it. Now I forgot it. But no major guys that were like a part of it. The Puerto Ricans. Diaz, Edwin Diaz's brother. What's his name? Alexis Diaz was on the Puerto Rican team, and Fernando Cruz were the top 2 major leaguers played for Puerto Rico in 2023. And then the other 3 guys were like minor leaguers. Ian Jabot, I think, was kind of like in that major league, minor leagues kind of section of the organization at that point, and he played for Great Britain back in 2023. So, what were your thoughts on these guys being asked to play for their national team? And I guess you could talk a little bit about Ellie as well if you want to rope that in there too.
Yeah, I think I did see some comments about Suarez. They don't like the risk of him being out there, but it's it depends on where they're going to be playing him. I guess they're going to play him at third, whatever. Arroyo, it's good experience for these young guys because they get to face some really good major league caliber players as well. I think most importantly for me is Arroyo, just because he's so close to being promoted, that we can kind of get an idea of who he is a little bit more. Another full season healthy this year. It's like it's kind of like a spring training before spring training for these guys too. So I mean, if we can get Suarez, his cold start now, and then he can go into the season ready, I'm all for it. It's kind of a it's a good year to sign a player like Suarez in a situation like this. And then a lot of the younger guys, the DSL player, he was in a DSL last year. He was actually really good. I remember I wrote about him a few times. His ERA was pretty low. I don't think he started a whole lot, but he did have some bullpen outings that were really good. But yeah, I mean, it's a really good experience for these younger guys, just getting to play some major league caliber pitching.
For sure. I'm most excited about Arroyo because I kind of mentioned before Francisco Lindor is injured, and he's the starting shortstop for Puerto Rico. So it's not confirmed, obviously, but I think Edwin Arroyo might be starting for Puerto Rico at short. I looked at the other kind of infielders in Puerto Rico, and I didn't see anybody really like would play ahead of him, but he is still pretty young. He is a prospect, you know what I mean? So there may be a situation where they might put a guy that maybe is
normally plays third at short or something.
Yeah, or something like that. So we'll see. I'll be excited to see him play for one of the better teams in usually the World Baseball Classic for Puerto Rico. But it's kind of interesting to see some of our younger guys get a chance, like Lourdoy, who he played in the Colombian Winter League and won the championship there for Caimanes de Barranquilla. So he's been pitching since like the end of last year, right? And I believe he was I forget where he ended up. Was he in Daytona? Oh, I forget now. With Lourdoy, but he's been basically pitching all the way through winter into now the World Baseball Classic, now straight into the season. So hopefully there's no injury or anything risk of that. But he's had a pretty decent year, playing pretty well. Obviously, like I said, winning the Colombian Winter League championship and whatnot. So it'll be nice to see him play for his national team. And then like a Merete, I think is how you say the guy from the DSL. We'll see what he's got. I mean, he's playing in the Netherlands, and they're not necessarily a powerhouse baseball national team. But it'd be cool to see him get out there, get some work against major leaguers, basically, right?
I'm gonna try this on the fly.
Yeah.
Pronunciation. Rygetary Merete.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go Merete.
Let's go with Merete.
So
His career, he's 17 games, a 0.97 ERA, 1.116 WHIP. And then as far as strikeouts and walks, in 2024, he pitched in 3 games. He didn't start. He's in 3 starts, only pitched in 3 and 2/3 innings. He had 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. But last year, this is what I think I'm really excited about. He had a 1.97 batting average against him in 11 starts, 33 and a third innings. He allowed 22 hits, 44 strikeouts, and just 15 walks. So I like that a lot.
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
There it is.
Yeah, it'd be exciting to see him get out there. The only other thing I have thought with all these guys being listed is I think Suarez actually has to play third base for Venezuela. I don't think he's going to be able to be just a straight up DH. That's the only concern if there is injury concern and whatnot. Like you had said, he's league average third baseman, but
he's not terrible.
But the wear and tear of possibly playing out there in some legitimate games right before the season starts is a bit of a concern and whatnot. But I think he's a pro's pro, like you had mentioned. He's played 140 plus games the last 6 or 7 seasons, so he's pretty durable. Yeah, I don't know.
That's me knocking on wood.
Yeah, I think there's just some guys that do know their bodies better maybe than others, and maybe.
Yeah, and he's 34. He's been there before. He's done it.
Yeah,
so I'm not scared of it. It's just something that's in the back of your mind.
Yeah, and the Ellie thing,
yeah.
As much as I'd like Ellie to be on the World Baseball Classic, I think I'm starting to come around a little bit because I don't think he'd play. I saw their starting lineup. I saw basically where he would play. It'd have to be in the garbage time. Like they got
They're loaded.
Perdomo. They got Perdomo at short, who's an excellent shortstop for the Diamondbacks, and they got a bunch of other guys that could just step in and play anyway. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's cool. It would have been nice. He would probably got some garbage time hits and at bats and whatnot, but maybe not worth it. Maybe working at the Arizona complex, every single day, getting better there might be better. Or maybe, maybe not being on a dirt bike might be good for him, where the Reds can keep an eye on him as well. Could be
talk about that.
Yeah, if you're ready. I've had a lot of thoughts. There's a lot of people that have lots of thoughts, but yeah, if you're ready. There was a infamous video put around on the internet that in the Dominican, Ellie was on a dirt bike with his buddies, his bros, riding around the streets. I don't know if there's actual footage of him riding. They made it. The official Brad, and I'm saying it wrong. Actually, it's not Brad Meador, right? It's Brad Meador or something like that. Anyway,
Meador.
The GM, Meador, said that actually it was just for a video. Ellie wasn't actually riding. I guess it was some, TikTok trend or something. I don't know what it is. Anyway.
I wasn't smoking. I didn't inhale.
Yeah, exactly. It was the guys around me, right? It wasn't me. So, but what were your thoughts when you saw that and the fallout from it?
Yeah, my initial thoughts were like, oh my God, this guy's going to be risking his life out there in the Dominican Republic because, it is different out there. And there have been players that have had accidents and passed away in the Dominican Republic. I think there wasn't there a Cardinals pitcher just a few years ago.
Sounds right. Yeah.
It was Martinez, or I can't remember who it was, but he was young, passed away in an accident. Like it's different over there. It's not like it's not like here. But then, you hear the report that it was just for a TikTok video or whatever, and I don't know what to believe. Is he really going to tell you if he did it or not? Like if like I tend to trust Ellie just because there hasn't really been any issues with him since he's been here. Just as far as like not trusting him, like he could have taken the couple of days off when his sister passed away and he flew back private or commercial, So I tend to believe like if that's what happened, it's probably what happened because we never ever really saw him get on the bike and take off. He was just standing there on the bike doing his little thing or whatever.
Yeah, you'd like to hope that he's telling the truth. You don't know because like I said, there wasn't any, I guess, confirmed footage of him actually writing. The thing that you just brought up, him being all about it, all about his baseball, all about his business, has been pretty consistent in his time in Cincinnati. Like you said, getting on a commercial flight to get back home, you know what I mean? To just play a game that got delayed because of the rain so he can keep his 162 streak in mind. My super cynical self, when I saw the video, was like, the Reds aren't going to have as high as an arbitration number to match. Because everyone started talking about Tatis hurting his wrist doing something like that in one of his years. So, like, I'm not saying Ellie needs to go out there and hurt himself. I'm just saying, like, I don't think the Reds organization is going to be crying if he misses 20 games and then has less money to argue about and whatnot. But that's obviously cynical. I obviously want Ellie to be healthy as he can be a 6-7 WAR player next year, and have Eugenio Suarez hit 40 home runs alongside him, so that way they can get in the playoffs and win 90 games. That's obviously best case scenario. I really hope he's telling the truth, because if he is risking his health, he's messing up his own money, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Like, I would think that the first person that actually called him is not Nick Kroll or
Scott Boras.
Theodore. It was Scott Boras. Like, flying down to the Dominican to probably
what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. That would be, I think, the first person that shakes him from his TikTok trends.
Yeah, the devil went down to DR.
Yeah, well, I don't know. He's got that Cincinnati girlfriend that everyone talks about. So where is she at? Is she not looking out for him in the DR? Anyway, I don't know. We can get into all sorts of tinfoil hat stuff and what's going on down there.
I'm gonna take him at his word. I'm gonna trust that he's not being stupid, and hopefully we have a good year.
Yeah, if this becomes a pattern, like this becomes a thing, in terms of like this is just not the one time, and there's like, I don't know, whatever other silly things 23-year-olds get into in the Dominican, then we're gonna have to have some, tough talk. And Tito should be the right manager to set him straight, right? Like, he's not gonna be like, oh, Ellie, don't be silly. He's gonna tell him straight, like, dude, you're gonna screw up your career. You're not getting paid millions of dollars yet. You should probably not do that. And not even say it like that. I probably, who was it? Kian Vu said that he had a pretty interesting conversation. Yeah. That was not appropriate.
I'm sure lots of expletives were flown.
Yeah, that would be the conversation I think that Tito would have with Ellie is very heavy on the F word.
I mean, and Tito knows how to give those conversations without being not too harsh. That's not the word I'm looking for. Without being offensive.
I think, the one thing that he, like, I think before the 2025 season started is that he was going down to the Dominican to connect with Marte and Ellie and
Candelario.
Yeah. There was like that sit-down meeting that got pictures everywhere. I think he connects with players is where it's at. So much so that he can rip them a new one if he needs to. If that makes sense. So
I mean, he played, he knows what it's like to be a player, and he knows what it's like to be a young player. So, I mean, that's the one good thing about having a manager that played, is that they have that experience as well.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, hopefully it's just a one-off, and we're not talking about this again, but we ended up talking about the Hunter Greens trade saga for a lot of episodes.
That's still kind of a thing, but
not wishing that we're talking about this anymore type of thing. But I don't know. We get a lot more gray hair if we were talking about Ellie for going into March.
That's for sure.
But yeah, any other thoughts on Ellie or anything else? Any hot takes or I don't know, predictions that we got going on for 2026, Ricky? It's going to be here soon, man. It's kind of crazy.
I guess I probably should have saved my hot take for later today. The 300 RBI guys, I think, is my take. I think we get 3 guys, 100 RBIs, or at least 2. One's very close.
Yeah, for sure. I think based on like what we're seeing in the organization for the minors, I think we're going to be like the Dragons are going to be in their playoffs. Daytona is probably going to be in their playoffs for Florida State League, and Louisville is probably going to be in their playoffs, because even if they get guys called up or moved around and whatnot, I feel like the depth there is going to get them to win ball games. Not so sure about Chattanooga right now, but maybe if a bunch of Dayton guys get moved up, then we'll have a situation where we have like. And I'm not asking to like. I'm not saying that that's what we want. We want like minor league organizations winning championships. I just want to see. I guess I'm predicting that we're going to see success at those levels, and not just one or two guys, right? Like a whole team success, so that way they can go out there and develop as a team. Because if anything, that's the one thing I learned from talking to the guys we talked about is like, if you're winning, even if it's not you that's out there, like Harmon was talking about that a little bit, is like he just feels that juice and that amp, like getting that that good vibes getting through the whole organization. You know what I mean? And if you got that going, then you know what I mean. Maybe a bunch of other guys are gonna like step up to the plate and perform more than they were expected to, and be able to kind of like, I don't know, become like potential major leaguers or guys that get called up, or guys that move up in the organization sooner than they would have if they were, I don't know, kind of like Dayton was at the beginning of the year, getting trounced every week.
Yeah, I think this would be where we'll end it here. It's like, which minor league team are you most interested in watching this season? I'm probably gonna ACL, man. I think there's or Daytona. I think there's gonna be a lot of talent in both teams, depending on where like Nunez ends up, Hansel Jimenez ends up. I think they're probably gonna play in the ACL. But the ACL, man, I mean, if you take it at face value, you got Eli Pitts and Adolfo Sanchez confirmed, and most likely Pablo Nunez as your three outfielders. And then you're going to have Hansel Jimenez probably playing third, Steele Hall playing short. Who am I missing? I can't think of it. I can't. Aaron Watson pitching.
Yeah.
In the ACL. You're going to have some of the Starlin Torres is going to be in the ACL. Potentially, I don't know if they do it yet, but Iker Radona could be called up to the ACL. They're loaded. They're stacked. Hervin Murillo catching in the ACL. I mean, those three guys, Murillo, Nunez, and Hansel Jimenez, all played pretty well in Australia. Nunez kind of excelled more than the other two, but Jimenez had some very clutch hits in the season. Murillo was a really good catcher for them. I mean, they got a lot of talent. And then Dayton, having Alfredo Duno and potentially Ryan McChrystal as your catchers. They got some talent. I mean, they're gonna be a good team. The ACL to me is gonna be really exciting.
Yeah. If I can't have the ACL, I think Dayton a big one. The ESPN writer, which I don't know where they got their information, said that maybe even Tyson Lewis might be up in Dayton. So I was like, okay, that'd be interesting.
Potentially. He only played 2 months in Daytona.
Yeah.
He has a really high strikeout rate, so I think they might keep him down.
Yeah, I thought the same. But if he is there in Dayton, that'd make them even more compelling. They got Luke Hayden, I believe, still there. I'm not sure whether Jonathan Harmon will be there or Chattanooga based on his spring and his projections. But if I had to pick, I pick my hometown team, Dayton Dragons, just to see them. Especially they're coming over. They're coming off that winning streak, and it sounds like Julio. Was it Julio Murillo? The
Irvin?
No, the manager.
Oh, the manager, yeah, Julio.
He's gonna be taking over, and it sounds like he gets his guys really jacked up about playing.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? So
that's gonna be.
See how, I guess, leading the minors in ejections. That's kind of a interesting thing to do. Not necessarily. I don't know if that's the stat you want to lead the minors in, but hey, we got to do that.
And we liked it for David Bell up here.
Yeah, for sure. I think Carrick's talking about Tyson Lewis. Yeah, I do see him in Daytona, but yeah, if he starts in Dayton, I'll take it to get to see him up close, man. I told you at Reds Fest, he's a big dude. Like next to usually they talk about how Duno is monstrous. He's not like the same size, but he's not like smaller.
Not far off.
No, like for a shortstop, he's like 6'2", 210, 215.
Yeah.
Big dude. And I don't know. He's only like 20. So 19,
20, yeah. I can't wait for this Harmon interview to be released so we can put that clip out about him talking about Duno.
Yeah.
Like, I want to share it now, but then it'd be like,
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. Subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff. Hit the notification so when it goes live, for sure, we'll be able to see that tomorrow. And then, Vu and Neville could be in Dayton too, so that'd be cool.
Very well could be.
Be in the outfield. I know they still got Yerlin Confidant there in Dayton, and we'll see what kind of season he has. I don't know if he'll get called up anytime soon. He kind of had a struggle this year. Anthony Stephon, I want to say, had a decent finish to the year with that.
He went on like a decent hitting streak, if I remember right. And then you also got Carlos Sanchez, who could be possibly in Chattanooga, I think, because he played the whole year basically, or most of the year in Dayton. Yeah, I mean, Chattanooga might not be as bad as we think. I just,
Yeah, I guess, I don't know.
There's a chance Cam Collier's still going to be there because he struggled.
Oh, yeah.
So
we'll see. Oh, look at this.
We'll see.
Yeah, Kirk's got his hot take in the hot take section.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. Yeah, dang, my button's not working today. Oh, Tyson
I can
Lewis,
see it. I can see it.
outfield. He's built like a truck, so he could be. Maybe he doesn't have the range at shortstop that some other guys do. So maybe.
But here's this though. I'd rather move guys like that in the outfield now than wait until they get to the majors and then teach them a new position.
Like Marte.
Well, like we did with second round pick or first round pick, played second base, moved him to the outfield.
Oh, Senzel.
Nick Senzel, yes.
Yeah, that experiment. Oh, that blew up.
Wasn't fair to him.
Yeah,
and
especially
he's got every right to have any animosity towards the Reds. Just wasn't right.
Especially because a lot of his injuries happened with outfield running into walls, running and pulling ligaments, stuff like that. I guess you're right.
If you've never played out there, it's a whole. You go from playing on dirt to grass. That's a whole new thing. Like, there's a lot.
Yeah, that's yeah. I don't know. Yeah, hopefully. I think last time I saw Senzel was playing for the White Sox. It was in the White Sox org. So I don't know if he's still kicking around there or somewhere else. But, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Nah, we'll leave it up. No, not. But it'll be interesting. Good question by Carrick to see what part of the org you're most excited about. The DSL should be good too, man. Angel Nunez, the international free agent signing. That'll be cool to see him play for the first time.
Who's the guy they signed last year? Libert Ponte. Like, he's gonna be down there too. Like, a lot of stuff.
For sure. Yeah. I don't know, any other hot takes or anything, Rick? Tune in tomorrow. Jonathan Harmon interview. Check out Ricky's stuff. Reds on SI. I've been putting a lot of good stuff out there. Pitchers and catchers coming up, man. So you're gonna have even more content whatever comes out of camp.
Yeah, I got a little history take coming for you on Tuesday for the Reds on SI.
Okay, check that out. Tuesday, the second day officially of baseball season. So that'll be good to hear. And yeah, thank you all for tuning in again on a Saturday, not necessarily our usual time, but we're really appreciative. We're gonna go on Sundays, 8 p.m. usually again. We're going to do a little bit of change. I think I talked to Ricky about this. On Sunday nights, we're going to mainly cover the Major League Ball Club and how they did that week and whatnot. And we're going to debut kind of a new segment / show on Mondays, Minor League Mondays, where we'll recap the whole minor league system or whatever teams played that week. Because I know, some of the parts of the organization don't start until after April 7th or April 1st or whatever it is. But anyway, we'll recap on Mondays. That's when the minors have all their days off, travel day, whatever you want to do. So look out for that. So really appreciative again. Everyone tuning in. We'll see you next time. And go Reds.
Go Reds.